In this video, I'm going to tell you about 4 diet mistakes that you really must avoid if you want to lose weight efficiently. Okay, mistake number 1 is taking an all or nothing approach. Often, we think we have to stick to our diet plan 100% of the time, come what may, or there's no point in following it at all. Well, let me let you into a secret here. Nobody's perfect. And you will slip up every so often, and that's perfectly natural and that's perfectly normal. So don't feel too hard on yourself if you can't resist that extra slice of chocolate cake. Sometimes life gets in the way of your diet. And it's fine to put your diet on hold sometimes. You shouldn't make a habit of it, but every so often it's fine to do it that way. Instead of planning how to cope with the challenge of a party or a wedding or something like that, some people will try to eat nothing all day. They'll think, oh, I'm going to have a big meal tonight, so I'm not going to eat anything at all. Or they might do it the next day. They might eat nothing the next day to try and compensate for the big meal that they've had at the party or the wedding or whatever. Well, let me tell you something. Neither option is healthy. It's going to start messing with your energy levels, it's starting messing with your sugar levels, and it's not a very good idea at all. So don't try to punish yourself if you slip up. It's simply not worth it. We all do it every so often. Okay, mistake number 2 is seeing your diet as a temporary fix. Some people will think, well, I just need to lose weight because of some upcoming event. So I've got a wedding coming up and I don't want to look fat in the pictures, or it's coming up for Christmas and I want to make sure that I'm slimming down before I meet all the family and that sort of thing. Because if after you've slimmed down to the weight that you want, you go back to your old eating habits, well, the weight that you lost is going to pile back on in next to no time and you'll be right back where you started. Unless you only have a few pounds to lose, it's much better to pick an eating plan that gives you flexibility. So you need something that you can follow for weeks, months, or even years. In fact, you may need something that you can follow for the rest of your life if you have a propensity to put on weight. So you need a diet that will become a permanent way of eating and will enable you to maintain your ideal weight after you achieve it. Okay, mistake number 3 is crash dieting. Now, when you go on a crash diet, the weight loss is almost always temporary. Because if you suddenly change to a restricted diet, your body will respond by storing less water. You'll lose weight and you'll be thinner, but you'll not necessarily lose any fat. And when you end that diet, well, the weight goes right back on, like I was explaining in the last mistake. You have to have something. You have to think long term when you're going for weight loss. You have to make sure that is something that you can keep up for months, weeks, years, or even forever. And the thing is, when you go on a crash diet, the body often goes into starvation mode during these diets. It thinks that a famine has hit and it should slow down the metabolism and store as much fat as possible to guard against the hard times that are ahead. And this harks back to your inner caveman or your inner cave woman, when they had really hard times, when food was low, the body would react by slowing down, laying down as much fat, not storing as much water so that the fat could be absorbed. Now, when you increase your food consumption, even if you do it in a healthy way, that famine metabolism can persist and lead your body to gain some or all of the weight back because your body thinks, the famine's over. Right, we can get back to the way we were before. And obviously, you don't want that. And when you go on a crash diet, your body may not be getting all the nutrients it needs either. And this can have serious long-term health implications. Nutrient deficiencies also lead to cravings, making it harder to stick to the diet and more likely that you'll break out in a binge. And if you crash diet, your weight will constantly yo-yo. So you'll lose the weight, you'll think, great, I've got to my ideal weight, the weight that I want, go back to eating normally, the weight goes back up again, and then you start the crash diet and the cycle just repeats itself over and over again. It's a sort of a vicious circle, really. Okay, mistake number 4 is setting the wrong goals. Now, when you set a goal for your weight loss, your goals should be clear, they should be set out in steps, and they should be achievable. Don't try to lose too much weight too soon. Don't try to slim down to an unhealthy amount so that you have an unhealthy body mass index. So you want to make sure that each step of the way you know exactly how much weight you want to lose and that you know that these steps are achievable. Because as well as having an idea of your ideal weight or your ideal clothes size, you should also set smaller goals along the way and reward yourself for each one achieved, but not with food. Be flexible about your final goal as well, because as you approach it, you may want to change it. You may decide that you don't want to lose quite as much weight as you thought of at the beginning, or maybe you want to lose a bit more. So you might want to change your final goal, and that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly normal. If you avoid these diet mistakes and you have the right attitude towards dieting, then you'll be able to achieve a weight you're happy with, and that's much more important than numbers.